Hello, everyone, and welcome to the National Inventor Club. We are in February 2025, and this year is going strong. I have to say thank you and a shout out to Janet Gongola from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. She's going to be on doing some tips and quick updates from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. But we had the honor, myself and several inventors from National Inventor Club and the Inventor Smart Community app, to go to the USPTO headquarters in Alexandria, Virginia, and meet Deputy Director Coke Morgan Stewart. And she's taken the reins there at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. There's a lot of activity going on there. Janet's going to fill us in quite a bit, but that was an experience. We had inventors that came with me to meet her in their Oval Office there, as well as virtually. There were inventors as well that joined. So please continue to be a part of National Inventor Club. Be active, be involved in our Inventor Smart Community app, which is available on Google Play and Apple App Store, to keep in touch and keep updated with the latest activity from our group and our club. So here we are, February. I hope your inventions are moving forward. We have an amazing lineup tonight. First, we're going to be hearing from some intros. We have the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, I mentioned, SCORE mentors. We have the Small Business Development Center. We have GS1 US, which is where you get barcodes from. That's the official barcode platform to be able to have on your products. So that's going to be really interesting. And these are all tips and advice to kind of get you going and moving forward with your inventions. And then we have Mike Stancill. He is a former PetSmart buyer. Wow. I am going to pick his brain for you. I want to make sure that things that you are wondering how to get your product to market in a retailer, I got Mike to give us the answers tonight. And he's now the business development manager at Central Garden and Pet. I'm sure you've heard of brands like Four Paws, Nylabone. I buy nubs all the time, $15.99 a bag at Costco. Thanks for that, Mike. Cadet, Kaytee, Aquion, and many other brands that they carry. I'm sure if you have a pet, that's great. I'm sure you know the brands that they carry. But even if you don't have a pet, to get inside the mind of Mike as a buyer, what to do, what not to do, how to find a buyer, he's got a great presentation for us tonight, and I'm looking very much forward to it. So let's start off by having Pierre Laspinas. He's been on our meetings quite a bit. He is from the Farmingdale State College Small Business Development Center, which is a division of the SBA. Welcome, Pierre. I know you have some tips and advice for us. Please give us your 2 minutes.
Yes. Okay. Name again is Pierre Laspinas. I'm a business advisor at the Small Business Development Center. It's a network of centers nationally. You can find one almost anywhere. And truthfully, we are the people that you should be speaking with when you want to explore the possibilities of actually monetizing your invention. To make it sort of intriguing, I would call it, the tip for tonight is, what is your problem? Nothing personal. This refers to what is the problem that your invention actually solves. The closer you are to defining a problem, the closer you are to being able to monetize your invention. The second thing is, who's got the problem? That's your market. How many are out there? As you define, who would you sell it to? Now, that's all hypothetical. But by the time you come to the SPDC, we're going to help you to first define a business model that then get translated into a business plan in order for you to execute the model. We have a totally fantastic proposal for you. We are free of charge. It doesn't matter how many times we meet with you. So that's my tip for tonight. Find your problem and let's go for monetization.
Thank you so much. So small business development centers, you said the word free, I think, right?
Totally free.
Totally free. If you need a business plan, if you need to network with local resources, you can find a small business development center, most likely in a college campus near you. And you can go to America's SBDC and you can put in your area and find one nearby. And I know that Pierre has done an amazing job navigating our inventor community through the SBDC and America's SBDC. So if you're not able to find one near you, you can connect up with Pierre. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us. We appreciate your tips and advice. And please say hello to everybody in your office.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here. You have a great community here. Good
Thank
job.
you so much. Thank
Sure.
you, Pierre.
All right.
And by the way, we are live streaming on LinkedIn, a couple of Facebook accounts, Twitter, I think Twitter, YouTube. We have in the Inventor Smart Community app and several other social media platforms. So wherever you are and wherever you're watching, thank you for joining us. It would be great to have you come into the Inventor Smart Community app, where we live stream and we have many other events and resources that are available to you at any time. And we have an amazing social media platform in there. And we all network and connect with each other and collaborate, and we help get each other to the next level. So please come join us. You can download the Inventor Smart Community app on Google Play and Apple App Store. And once you are in there, you are now a member of National Inventor Club. So hope to see everybody in there. All right. We have Caitlin Friedman. No relation. I mean, my name's Brian Fried. We have Caitlin Friedman, right? And her husband's name is Brian. So we're close. We're close, Caitlin, but not quite.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks, Brian.
Thank you very much. So GS1 US, you might not have heard of it because it's kind of behind the scenes. And once you are ready to have your product launch, which we're going to talk about with Mike, you have to get to a buyer to get to kind of know where you're going. But even if you don't get to a buyer and you're starting to sell your product, most likely you need to go to gs1us.org and pick up your barcodes. This is the official website to get barcodes. I know there's a lot of resellers out there, but if you're opening an account at a retailer, you need to have an authentic barcode under your brand name. So, Caitlin, thank you for joining us. I know that you have some great tips and advice for our inventors, startups, and entrepreneur community.
Yes, thank you. And that was good advice. What an intro, what a lead in. I'm Caitlin Friedman from GS1 US. We work with a lot of startups, and many of them have shared their lessons learned with us over the years. So something we hear a lot is that they wish that they took the time to properly estimate the number of barcodes that they needed from the very beginning. So it's kind of an often underestimated part of building your supply chain. That's kind of what you're doing when you're getting your first barcode. And so let me back up for those completely new to GS1 US and what we do. As Brian said, we offer some flexible options for you to assign UPCs to your products yourself. And it's important to know that you'll need to assign a different UPC for every product variation that you have. So this includes size, style, flavor, scent, anything you can think of. You're even going to need a different UPC to identify different levels of packaging. So that could vary based on the retailers and distributors that you work with. And so you can get a single UPC for $30 each if you only have a couple products. So you just want to start selling on a marketplace like Amazon. But most of our small business members end up licensing one of our GS1 company prefix options. And what a prefix is, it's essentially a bundle of barcodes that you can assign to your products. And they come in packs of 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, or 100,000 if you have that many products. So my advice to you is to kind of start looking at the products you have now. Think carefully about your potential to expand that product line. And you should estimate not only what you need now, but what you might need 18 months from now. Because once you land that big retailer relationship, things are going to happen quickly. And you're going to want to be ready to meet their requirements and really be a reliable partner to them. So look, nobody has a crystal ball to look into the future. It can be pretty difficult. One of the things I love about working with entrepreneurs like all of you is that you're also courageous in pursuing this passion, even when that future is uncertain, right? So getting this step right really means building that strong, orderly supply chain and positioning yourself appropriately for growth and scale. So if you want to look me up on LinkedIn, I'm happy to connect, and feel free to ask me any questions about barcodes. I'll do my best to get you some answers. We have a lot of great resources on our website. So like we said, gs1us.org. It'll give you a lot of good information.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. Very much appreciate you taking a moment and explaining that to us. gs1us.org. They have great training as well for
Yes.
newbies like many of us. And when you're going through the process of actually creating the barcodes, I've had experience, and I know that inventors that I've kind of referred, they're like, I don't know how to do this. I'm like, just call them. It's okay. Your
Yeah,
staff and the
they're
assistants
great.
in your office are amazing. They've walked people right through, and
Yeah.
they have barcodes on their products. So thank you, Caitlin. Thank you,
Thanks
John
for having me.
Gramuglia, for always keeping us in touch, and we're looking forward to continuing our relationship together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. All right, let's continue. We have Ken Lowe. Where is he, Mr. Ken Lowe? Kenneth Lowe, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you, Brian. Thanks for having me.
So SCORE, you may have heard of SCORE. There's SCORE mentors, and they're all over the country. They are mentors, volunteer mentors, and most of the time they have some very interesting backgrounds that they connect you up with that are related to yours, or maybe the invention that you're working on. And they're also free. They're part of the Small Business Administration. We've had Bridget on quite a bit. She's the president of SCORE, and many of your colleagues, Kenneth, that are volunteers that join us here on National Inventor Club. So I see from your title that you're from the San Francisco SCORE. Thank you for joining us. I know that you have some tips and advice for our community.
Yes. So hello, everybody. I'm Kenneth Lowe, representing score.org. It's a nonprofit empowering small businesses through free mentorship and education since 1964. So as a volunteer mentor, I've seen firsthand how tailored guidance can turn ideas into thriving ventures. Today, I would like to share 3 quick tips to supercharge your validation process, plus a bonus. So first, test demand early, win pre-sales, and then iterate smarter with AI. So first, test demand early. Use landing pages to win pre-sales. Draft compelling copy, then drive traffic. Call your mom, call your cousins, call your uncles, text, call, social media, pigeons, whatever it takes. And you want to track these signups using Google Sheets or whatever to gauge the interest before you even build a thing. Second, collect feedback. You can use surveys and Zoom calls. That way you can get us some insights and invite as many people who are willing to get on a Zoom call with you to get deeper qualitative feedback. This combo balances efficiency with human insight, and you'll be thankful for that later. Last, iterate fast with AI. Redesign mockups and prototype using AI tools. Have you guys heard of this thing called vibe coding? It just came up about a couple of days ago. Like basically you're coding using prompt. There's no like typing the keyboard. You're just speaking into prompt and then it turns into code. So there's a new thing happening right now. So you can also use ChatGPT and Claude to polish your marketing copy with using AI assistants. Now, here comes the bonus. You can validate with SCORE mentors to ensure alignment with real-world needs. And we are the best kept secret. You can go into score.org, find a mentor in your zip code. You can cross reference to some other. I've taken a lot of calls from people across the country, and score.org. You can find one of us there. And my name
And
is
how much is it? How much is it to get a mentor?
The price is right. It's $0.
Thank you so much. Kenneth Lowe, he is from the SCORE San Francisco area, AI hobbyist. Hot topic right now. I am a big time Claude fan. I've tested them all, and I am moving forward with Claude with the pro membership. So
Nice.
it's very interesting, and it's going to be even more interesting to see how things develop. And I'm taking a vested interest in understanding who owns intellectual property as you're going through and iterating with AI. So we'll keep in touch, Ken. Thank you so much for joining us, for those amazing tips and the bonus. We'll see you back again.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
All right. And apologize for my little choppiness, just overcoming some, I don't know. I think I had a couple of, let's call it the cold, but I feel good. I'm happy to be with you tonight. And I'm also happy to have Janet Gongola. She is from, and you see that USPTO, that is the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Thank you so much for joining us, Janet. I know that you have a new title. I get to announce it here in National Inventor Club. You've had several titles that I've known you with along the way, but now you are the acting Chief Communications Officer at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, and we sat together with Coke Morgan Stewart just a couple weeks ago in Alexandria, Virginia. Thank you so much for joining us, Janet.
Hello, Brian, and hello, inventors. It is really wonderful to be here this evening. And first of all, I really want to thank the National Inventor Club for visiting the USPTO a couple of weeks ago. We hosted a group in person as well as virtually to learn more about inventors, their use of the patent system, and hear feedback that you all can give us as to what we can do to help the inventors even more. So it was a really, really wonderful experience, and I hope it will be the first of many and that you all will visit us on a regular basis. Tonight, I thought I would talk about two different topics. First, I want to cover who's leading the patent office these days, and second, what are our priorities? I know you've probably seen a lot in the media, social networking, newspapers about various things happening with the government. So I thought you might like a little bit of assurance that things are going smoothly and we are on track to provide all of the services to you in issuing patents and registering trademarks as we've always done. So first of all, we have a new Secretary of Commerce, Howard Letnick. He was confirmed and sworn in just last week. What is very unique about our new secretary is that he has many patents to his name. Like all of you, he is an inventor. In fact, we have a display of a couple of his patents that we're unveiling at the Patent Office very soon. So we are lucky to have his direction and his inspiration and attention to the IP system. Next, we have, as Brian mentioned, Coke Morgan Stewart as our acting director. Now, Coke is a veteran to the USPTO. She worked there 10 years prior. She was a litigator and she worked in the Undersecretary's office in a variety of roles. So rest assured, she understands the patent system, she understands your needs and wants to do the best out there for inventors. The rest of the leadership team that Acting Director Stewart has assembled is equally as experienced as she is. We have Valencia Martin Wallace as our new Acting Commissioner of Patents. Valencia started out as a patent examiner. She has 32 years of experience at the office. And just to name one other individual that you may know, right now our Acting Deputy Director is Will Covey. Will has 24 years at the Patent Office, and he previously led the Office of Enrollment and Discipline. He was a champion behind our patent pro bono program. This was a program through which inventors like all of you could get free legal assistance in filing and securing a patent on your invention. So that's a little bit about who you're going to see faces of the Patent Office in the coming weeks and months. Now, what are we focused on? We want to concentrate on an acronym that we call RISE, and I'll briefly go over it with all of you. RISE stands for R, respect property rights, I have impeccable work product. S, we want to simplify our processes to make it easier for you to navigate the system and secure your property rights in the form of patents and trademarks. And then finally, E is we want to be able to enforce our nation's IP laws and protect our nation's intellectual property, both domestically and outside the United States. So those are our goals. Again, thank you very much for having me this evening, and I look forward to seeing you all when you visit the Patent and Trademark Office again.
Thank you, Janet. We will plan on getting our group together very soon and coming to see you as soon as the weather warms up a little bit in Alexandria, Virginia. How about that?
Wow, fantastic. Cherry blossom time's coming up.
Well, we very much appreciate our relationship and the open door to whatever it takes to get the information to our inventor community. There was an inventor that had an issue, and we connected him up to a regional office of yours, and he is now being taken care of. So whatever it is, we appreciate the the expedited connections that we have to get things done. I don't know if that counts as part of our patent applications that we file. I know it's in a different area there, but we appreciate the open communication. Thank you so much, Janet, and congratulations on your new role.
Thank you very much. You have my number. You know how to reach me, all of you. So don't be strangers.
Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon, Janet. Thank you. All right, let's have a word from our sponsor. We have several sponsors here with National Inventor Club and the Inventor Smart Community app. And one sponsor is joining us this evening. His name is John Risby. He is from The Patent Professor. And John, I know that you have some tips and advice, and I know that you support the Inventor Smart Community and National Inventor Club. Thank you for joining us, and please share some knowledge and wisdom to our community.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. It's always a pleasure to be here. I'm known as the Patent Professor, and that's our law firm as well. What I really want to emphasize is for inventors to seek advice on the right type of patents. I mean, for years, the general consensus was, and it's true, that utility patents are broader. They give you more protection. They are what protect the use or function of an idea. And design patents were kind of looked down upon as only protecting the ornamental look. And that's true, but there are several products where it's not a question of a utility patent or a design. It's, and maybe some inventors won't like this, but sometimes the right answer is that you need both, because the design patent protects the look, it protects direct knockoffs. And now with a lot of sales on Amazon and eBay and other platforms, it's critical to get a patent granted as soon as possible. And design patents are a lot faster to get granted, and also have a higher likelihood of being granted. So if your product gets knocked off while you're waiting for the utility patent, at least this gives you an opportunity to get infringers off of platforms like Amazon and eBay. So seek legal advice, and just remember, it's not necessarily one or the other. If you have the budget and you think there's potential for the product and it's viable and there's sales, the right answer might be to protect both the look of the invention and the way it works.
Thank you so much, John. We very much appreciate your tips and advice from your office. Last time we had some of your colleagues on, and it's good to see you. And we appreciate your support to the Inventor Smart community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian.
We'll see you again soon, John.
Yep.
All right, let's have Ken and Sean. So Ken Dale and Sean Taylor. Sean is our Chief Community Officer at Inventor Smart and the Inventor Smart Community app. Ken is one of our premium subscribers that was available this evening to say hello, and he has some great news. So Sean, thank you for joining us. Any quick words of wisdom to the inventor community and the Inventor Smart community app?
Yes, I'd just like to say I am glad I am here again another month with a great guest coming on and being here with all the members and soon to be members, and how great it is to meet you guys. And it felt so good, Brian, because some of the guests, a few of the guests I've actually met in person. And that's what we're about. We're a community and we network. And it just feels real good to say, hey, I actually know that person. So come and join us. Come and be a part of the community. We'll love to have you guys. And it's
Thank
good
you so
seeing you
much.
guys.
Thank you so much. And for a quick shout out to Samantha St. Raymond. She's not able to join us this evening. She's our VP of Community. And of course, I don't know if I'm going to get Andy in here, but we'll say hi to Andy for one moment. Behind the scenes, all the amazing newsletters and putting our events together. Quick shout out for you, Andy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. All right. So Ken, you're on. Maybe you can tell us who you are, where you're from, and I know that you have some quick news to tell us, and hopefully we can get some people to follow you and purchase your new product that you'll tell us about.
All right, Brian, thank you for having me. I'm originally from Philippines, but now I live in Wisconsin, and my product is called Everlasting. It is basically a golf tee that has a wrench where you can insert it this wrench in the middle. There's a hole in the middle, and you can insert it in, and that helps you drive the tee down into the ground. And the reason why I invented this product is one, we all have, not all, but some of us have limited time to practice, to go to the range and practice. And we want to be efficient with our practice. We want to go to the range and have a quality swing, and you don't need to do anything else other than quality swing and hit the ball straight. And that's efficiency. And the second reason why I invented this one, the practice at the range should be pleasant, meaning that you don't need to get annoyed with the broken tees, wooden tees, and you have to replace it or embed it over and over again as you practice. So you need to have a pleasant experience practicing golf at the range. And the third one is tidy. We don't want to litter our environment basically with the broken tees. So that's three main reasons why I invented this product, Everlasting. And what's next for me is I have here a finished product. I have 2 and 1 Allen wrench, and also have a barcode. And 2 days ago, I shipped my boxes of these to Amazon fulfillment centers, and my storefront will be open live this weekend.
Congratulations. Do you have a
So,
website address that you can share with us?
no, I don't have yet, but I'm planning on constructing my own website.
Okay. Well, as soon as it launches on Amazon and it's available, please let us know and post it in the Inventor Smart community app so we can all support you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ken. Thank you for being a premium subscriber. We appreciate you, and thank you for the continued engagement in the app. I know that you're active in there, so thank you, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. All right, so we have Mike Stancill. There he is. I caught you. How you doing, Mike?
Hi, Brian. I was just making notes on the golf tee, where to get that. That's a great idea.
All right, Ken, you got your first customer right there.
Yeah.
I will pass his link to Amazon to you, Mike. Thank you so much. So, Mike, you and I have known each other for many, many years. We've kind of just stayed in touch, and Mike was a buyer at PetSmart at some point, and he's continued on his journey in the retail world. Now the business development manager for Central Garden and Pet. And you might not necessarily know that name because that's the true brand, but they are known for a couple, just I'm going to mention that you may have heard of: Four Paws, Nylabone, Nubs, Cadet, Kaytee, Aquion. I'm sure there's plenty others that I didn't mention, but Mike has put together a great presentation for us, and we're going to make this interactive, him and I, and we have our Q&A open so you can ask questions. We'll see if it's relevant and kind of timely. I'll put it on the screen. If not, we'll save it for later. But if we don't get to it, or you'd like to afterwards, Andy has sent an email to you. Or if you're in the Inventor Smart Community app, you'll have access to the Zoom after meeting networking, which Mike has kindly offered to join. So if you wanted to ask Mike a question or two, you wanted to give him some comments on how he did tonight, then please join us. And Mike, I have to make sure to send you that link so you can join us for the Zoom. So I'll remember as soon as we're done. But as soon as we're done, everybody who has that email, you can hop into the Zoom, and we will have a after meeting networking, and Mike will be there, I think. Hopefully it's not too late for you. So Mike, let's put up your presentation. Why don't we start off by maybe you giving a quick bio about yourself so we can get a little bit more understanding of your credentials.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in the pet industry for 30 years and pretty much started my career at PetSmart. I was at PetSmart for 18 years and moved through a variety of desks, from inventory management to strategic pricing, to being a retail buyer for cat shampoo in the beginning and cat collars and leads. So small category, moved my way up to dog hard goods, waste management, dog pads, and then all the way up to cat food, super premium cat food, managing those desks. So I've managed desks, buying desks anywhere from $10 million to $120 million on that. And then after PetSmart, made a foray a little bit to Sprouts Farmers Market, did some strategic sourcing there, set up a team there. And now I've moved over to what buyers would say is the dark side. So I am now business development for a manufacturer, Central Garden Pet, the largest pet company in the US. We have pet distribution, and we have our sales side that we sell directly to the major retailers: Walmart, Target, PetSmart, Petco, Pet Supplies Plus. The list goes on and on. And we have, I don't think I could list all the brands we have, but I put a few of them up on there. So we also own Pennington Seed on the lawn and garden side. So a huge operation. We do about $3.5 billion in sales annually at Central Garden.
Wow.
Pet. And working with PetSmart, who's now a $10 billion a year retailer, and Petco's $4.5 billion a year in sales. And the desks that I kind of manage is the dog hard goods side of the business. I do have a little bit of the cat hard goods on that, but I also have some dog treats in addition to hard goods. And recently just took on the aquatic side of the business, which is Aquion for us.
Very nice. Mike, whether we have a pet or we don't have a pet, you're a former buyer, and you can share the dirty secrets to help us find a buyer. How do we find a buyer? First, we have to figure out, do we have a product, and is it available to sell, right? We need inventory. We also need to know which retail store we should go after. Then we have to figure out who the buyer is, and the journey continues and begins and continues. So let's get to it, Mike. Help us as inventors. We are either thinking about licensing so we can earn royalties from our invention. Many of us these days are manufacturing because it's a lot easier these days. And look, we don't have to be in a major retail store to be successful. Right. We can be online, but it would be nice to have that mass market retailer in-store distribution. So we're going to pick your brain on both sides. We'll talk about you as a buyer and help us through that. And also, if we were, if we had a product and we were interested in licensing, what you look for as a licensee.
That's great. Hopefully I get pull back that veil and uncover some of this mystery around buying and buyers in general.
Please tell us.
So up here we have the agenda. So we'll kind of go through those steps that Brian talked about, how to make contact with a retail buyer. What are those buyers kind of looking for? What do they need to operate? And then kind of general retail requirements for doing business with a big retailer. Now, depending on the retailer you're trying to get into, there's a lot of nuances with their size and different things, and we could go over some of that. We're going to talk about how to price your product, how to, there's more than just your product cost involved when you're selling to a retailer or even a distributor also. And then manufacturing, we'll get into that if you want to license and sell into manufacture. And then what are the proper ways to reach out and what are the ways that work to reach out to a buyer? Some of us answer the phone. A lot of us, are like the Wizard of Oz, hiding behind that magic curtain. You can never talk to us. You can never find us. You can't even see us. So a lot depends on the style and the culture of the retailer you're calling on and where you're trying to get your product in. And then kind of bringing the market, how to bring your product to market. So there's a couple different routes. You can sell it to a retailer. You can sell it direct. You can license it to a manufacturer. So all different options, and that's really kind of what you guys want to get out on it and what you feel like would be the best solution or fit for your product and what you're doing personally for your business.
Excellent. Sounds like some great topics here, Mike.
Thanks, Brian. And I just want to thank everybody for having me on. Super excited to be here. So first off, a hunting we will go. So how do you make contact with a retail buyer? How do you find who these people are? And it's hard. I work for, $3.5 billion manufacturer and I have a hard time getting a hold of some of these buyers at times on that urging figuring out who it is because they'll rotate desks and jobs. New people come on to the desk all the time. So it's difficult. So making a tracking list, but really the first thing to do is kind of research the retailer and try to figure out what category your product's going to align with. Is it a sporting goods product? Is it a pet product? And then look at the subcategories because a lot of retailers are broken out. There's a dog food buyer, there's a cat food buyer, there's a cat furniture buyer, there's a dog treats buyer. So you get down to all these different categories and knowing where your product kind of fits at the retail you're going after will help you discover who it is. And another great way is to leverage industry reports and investor calls. A lot of the public companies, you can get a lot of information off there. Sometimes they have buyers on there or the CMO, the chief merchandising officer. So you get names that way and look for it that way. Another great way is just to call the front desk at the company. Call their 1-800 customer service line. Ask that person at the front desk, say, hey, this is my product. And this is where knowing what kind of category and how this retailer kind of sets up helps you ask for the right person. So if you could say, hey, I'm looking for the sporting goods buyer that buys golf products. So if you're taking your golf tee to market and you're going to the PGA Superstore and you're trying to find who that is, there's probably a golf accessories buyer or a golf tee buyer. They're not buying the golf clubs, but they'll buy the smaller items, the balls and the tees. And that's a great way to find that out. So if you know that, ask that front desk person and that'll help you get to the right person. Another great way is go to the store. Some of these buyers make a lot of store visits. And if it's a small retailer, they know the regional manager, they may know the store manager. But I guarantee you those store managers know who the buyers are. So that often you can get their names and get referred into the buyer that way.
You know what, Mike? You know what, also, if you don't mind, what's worked for me is subscribing to some of the industry newsletters and magazines, I guess digital magazines these days. So I get supermarket, retailer, I get different industries, magazines and newsletters and everything else. And most of the time, those editors are interviewing the players that are in those supermarkets and stores, and I connect up with them like you put on here. The next thing is with LinkedIn and everything else, and that's where I make a lot of my connections.
Yeah, that's great. Leverage and leveraging your existing connections. Just like, I don't know how you found me 10 years ago, Brian, but somehow we found each other and the communication sense. But just reaching out and I'm on LinkedIn quite often. That's a great way to get a hold of me on that. And you leverage your friends. I'm sure it's a small world now anymore, so somebody has a connection somewhere. I mean, be diligent on that. Utilize every resource you can to figure out the proper buyer on that. The other alternative too is hire a broker or a manufacturer's rep. There's a lot of brokers out in these different industries that you get hired, and they have constant relationships with the retailers and buyers. And that's a great way of going also, because they get kind of consult and guide you along.
And what they do is they represent different manufacturers. So when you're manufacturing your product, you're a manufacturer, and they're either called a manufacturer's rep, a sales rep, and they take a commission. So hopefully you have enough margin built in to be able to not only compete with the buyer's requests, but also to pay the broker. And I know, Mike, you have a great slide on figuring out how to price your product when you're going into retail. So looking forward to that one.
There's a lot of hidden costs in doing it. When you add everything up, it's a lot more than just the actual product manufacturing costs. So what are these buyers looking for? What do they need? So, and what really drives their behaviors? Like, every buyer is going to have their own personal style. Every company is going to have their culture. So it pays to know the culture of the company the buyer works at. It also pays if you get, look around and do some digital sleuthing and learn a little bit about the buyer. You can understand behaviors there, because we're all people, we're all human. We have different personalities. Some buyers are risk takers, some aren't. And a lot of times, if you figure out the category they're responsible, you can walk their stores, look at it. And I could tell you, I could look at an assortment or a category of product and tell you if that buyer's a risk taker, if they like trying new stuff, or if they're only buying products from the big companies. So there's a lot of that. And, with that too, being a small company or the little guy, a one-off product, man, if you're a buyer for a large retail company, that's scary. You first look at that's risk. Because can that person, keep up with manufacturing? Some retail outlets, if you have 2,000 doors or stores, can that vendor provide enough product for 2,000 stores? If you're even selling a half a unit a week, that's 1,000 units a week out of a 2,000 door chain on that. So those are my concerns on that. And there's ways to overcome that, and would love to get some questions and talk about that in a little more detail. And then one of the big ways to overcome that is, Brian probably preaches this all the time: be prepared. Understand the retail requirements of doing business and hurdles. Understand what are the big hurdle rates to overcome and get in front of a buyer, and what do they need. So we're going to talk about that in a little more detail.
Great. I just want to reiterate, Mike. So a buyer has a certain amount of shelf space that they are given, and their job is to produce. And let's say they have Johnson & Johnson as their brand, and then there's good old, inventor Brian Freed that has one product that they may or may not do well with, right? I think it'll do well, but maybe they do or they don't. So that buyer has to make a decision, because if their shelf space doesn't sell well with Johnson & Johnson, they could go, but senior buyer, it's Johnson & Johnson. What do you want me to do? I mean, it's right. Or is it Brian Freed that I took a chance on with that product? Is it one product? Is it a brand? Are they doing marketing? What's behind it for people to come and be able to purchase, so they can look good and make the returns that they need for that shelf space that they have. It's interesting also, Mike. I pitched to buyers as well. And one particular buyer said, I brought 5 products that I was ready to manufacture. And I showed them pretty much ready to go. I could push go and manufacture them. And they said, Brian, this one, no. This one, no. This one, come back to me in 6 months. This one is not my category. I like this one. What can we do with this? You know what, Brian? We love you. We love this product. But you know, Gary, go add this product to his product line. Go license it to him. Tell him we'll do a 30-store test. So it's about setting up vendor accounts and teaching me all the logistics of how to get the product to market. I can figure it out. I've done it for QVC and other retailers, but those are the type of things that inside the mind of a buyer, which Mike, I'm sure you'd agree that that's probably what you've thought when somebody came to you with a new idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. I've bought some of those ideas, and some of them have gone well, and some of them have gone terribly. And it's exposure, you know, because buying's competitive. And if you're at a major retailer, there's a lot of categories and a lot of other buyers competing for sales, shelf space within the store. You know, you don't even think of that. But when I was the pads buyer, there was nothing more that I wanted to displace than the buyer that had a bunch of magazines and books on pet care. I wanted to sell more puppy pads. So I wanted to displace her space out of, you know, my own store out of that, just to gain more space on that. So, and large vendors or manufacturers bring a level of like certainty and support. They usually have deeper pockets, so they get fund. You know, if an idea goes bad and it doesn't sell, they get fund clearance money. They get paid for slotting money, so they could get me out of that bad idea that I bought last month. They get clearance, buy that product out, and I can put new product in. So there's a lot of extra things that the big guys bring to the table. So yeah, it is a uphill battle for the little guy, but the little guys a lot of times have that innovation that we don't see from the bigger companies, which some retailers really care about. Some don't care about as much, but if it's a retailer looking to be best in class and have the most innovation out there on the market, then that's what they need to find.
Take
and
a
you
chance.
Guys have it.
Yep. Mike, you have a bunch of slides. I want to be able to get through them. We don't have a time limit here, which is nice. It's our own event.
That's
I know that we kind of keep it to an hour. We had some great intros, but you know what? Let's go through it. For those of you who can stay on, that's super. We record it. It's inside the Inventor Smart community app if you want to watch it afterwards. But I have Mike on here. I'm going to pick his brain. If it goes past the hour, so be it. And then if you're around, then you can join us in the after meeting networking as well. Just real quick, Mike. Deanna, quick, let's see if we can answer it because I don't want to leave her hanging here. How you doing, Deanna? She has 2 new patents and can't find a broker or manufacturer rep. What's a good tactic for that, Mike?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the industry that you're kind of looking to get into. So really trying to find a broker or manufacturer's rep is to really, I would ask a retail buyer, you know, for a recommendation. So if you're sporting goods, find a retail buyer and they could give you some of the brokers that they work with or, you know, manufacturing reps that they deal with. They're out there. They are hard to find on that, but, you know, hard work, Google search engine, you could probably find some in that category that you're looking to get into. And then trade publications. So there's a ton of trade shows every year. Every major industry has a big trade show, and you'll have every one of those big brokers at those big trade shows.
Can I tell you, I am going to the Inspired Home Show in Chicago this weekend, and I interviewed one of the ladies who's the executives there, and I got some stats. 60,000 attendees, 10,000 buyers. Wow. Okay, so I'm sure, and I've been going for many, many years. I found my QVC buyer there, and she changed my life. So attend trade shows. You'll run into manufacturers reps there. I know they don't come around every minute of the year, but when they do, try to make plans to even go as an attendee without even, having to exhibit. If you exhibit, that's great, but definitely good sound advice for Deanna. Thank you, Mike.
Deanna, if it's pet, call me.
Nice. All right. What else we got, Mike?
Yeah, so this little bit of retail requirements for doing business, this will vary depending on the scale and size of the retailer, but most retailers will have some kind of master vendor agreement, master provider agreement, supplier agreement, call, different acronyms for whatever they call it, but you'll need some kind of vendor agreement, and then they'll require a certificate of insurance. Now, every retailer, depending on the product or category, will have different insurance level requirements, but you can find insurance brokers out there and get quotes for your product. If you're selling an edible product, that's probably going to have a little more higher insurance premium that you have to pay. If you're selling, pencil or a pen, I'll probably have a little bit less insurance requirements. The other thing is some retailers don't do those big overarching agreements. They'll just use POs, which contains all the terms and conditions on the back of the PO. Now, a lot of these are done digitally now, right? On that, but there's still terms and conditions attached to these purchase orders on that. And then kind of another big thing is kind of pricing terms. You'll hear a lot of different things thrown out there. You'll need to know these things. You'll need to know your gross cost. You'll need to know invoice cost, and you'll see this vary by retailer. Invoice cost could be less allowances. Retailers will charge you different allowances, but whether you're doing the freight collect or prepaid, a defective allowance, trade, a marketing promotional allowance, that could come out of the invoice, or it could be on top or at the end of the year. It just depends on that. And then MSRP, manufacturer's retail selling price, moving average price, which is MAP, the new one, IMAP, internet minimum advertised price. So there's a lot of different acronyms to understand on the pricing piece on that. But for the most part, you'll need to understand your gross costs and your invoice costs to handle the ordering and the invoicing correctly.
This is some great information. I know it might be heavy for some of you, and you might not be at this point, or you might not be at this point at all. But this is great information, not only for a potential product or brand that you're going to bring out there to understand what it takes to be in a major retail store, but also maybe somebody else that's an inventor that could use this advice. We'll always have this available to reference in our Inventor Smart community app and National Inventor Club.
Yep. And then, go through or invoicing. They could do it manually, electronic, depends on the retailer, EDI, electronic data interface. A lot of, mainstream retailers, everything's digital, so you're utilizing that. There's third-party vendors you get fined out there for EDI transmissions, and that's how your ordering and invoicing will flow back and forth. Understanding kind of like logistics and Incoterms. If you're walking into a major retailer, you need to know where you're shipping from. You need to know where you're shipping to. Does the retailer want you to pay for the shipping? Are they going to do it, collect, pick it up themselves? And then you get into kind of FOB and kind of Incoterms, FOB destination, our origination, and then the other costs. We kind of talked through all those different other costs that could pop up: payment terms, promotion allowances, slotting, clearance. There's 1,000 of them. Every way a retailer could bill you for costs, they will.
All right. Well, hopefully by the time we're done, we're making money.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good. All right.
So the big thing, right, Brian, is like, how do you price your product when you're walking into? Because this is where a lot of people get caught up and don't realize the expense that it costs on a product, because it's way more than what it just costs you to make that product. So kind of like pricing your product before you go in there. And one big thing, I'll give you one example of our hurdle rate is gross margin rate, gross margin percent. So how did we kind of get to that? So every buyer will have a category, and each category will have its own profitability our gross margin rate. And I'm sorry, one of the graphics there is a little bit over the formula to figure out gross margin rate, but it's just retail minus cost divided by the retail. And so when you're trying to price your product, this is like one of the kind of first things. You'll know your product manufacturing cost, right? On there. So then go visit some stores or get a collection of retails, do a competitive shop of like products, kind of figure out what retails they are at, and then try to figure out what hurdle rate or gross margin rate that retailer is going to try to ask from you. Is it 50 points? Is it 75%? Is it 20%? It just depends on the category you're operating into. So kind of doing that homework and find those competitive shops will give you an idea on your kind of cost and the profitability of your product, because you need to hit certain thresholds of certain hurdle rates for buyers to bring the product in. So doing those competitive retail shops.
Yeah, let's break it down. So it costs me $5 to manufacture a product. I think that, and look, when we're selling direct to a consumer, we have that margin inside, but now we have a wholesaler that's really the one that's going to be selling the product kind of direct to the consumer in a way, right? So we have a product that cost us $5 to manufacture, Mike. What would we charge wholesale, and what would the retailer charge to the customer?
So typically wholesale, you're going to see anywhere from 75 to 150% markup. And then a retailer, you're going to see that markup again on the wholesale cost. Plus there's going to be a bunch of allowances and other expenses figured into there. So one of the best ways to kind of figure it out is see what kind of retail your product can command, look at the category's gross margin rate, and kind of work it from there. That'll give you either the wholesale cost or the retailer's invoice cost. So you need to make sure there's enough margin on that very last leg from the wholesaler to the retailer. And you'll see hard goods products vary from anywhere from 30% to 90%, depending on the category. So, but you need to know what the hurdle rate is for that category. So you got to make sure that retailer's covered in that profitability. And then you got to make sure you're covered to the wholesaler, and they take their portion on the markup. And then you bring it all the way down to your production costs on that. So there's a lot of levels on top of it.
So you're kind of suggesting to do it backwards then, to figure out what it should be on the store shelf. So can you help us with a scenario? Hopefully, I know you're good at math. Let's say it's $19.99. It should be retailed for.
So if you're in a category that's a 50% margin, you're going to need that to be at $10 on the cost on it. So they'll need, that's a 50% margin rate on that product. It's cost 10 and retails for $19.99. So then you got to figure out, whether you're wholesaling it or not. But the retailer needs that cost to them to be at that $10 to make their margin rate.
Okay. And if it costs us $5 and we're selling it to them for 10, then that's a good business. There's a lot of times, Mike, where we're kind of pricing out a retail opportunity. And let's say, we're starting off, we really want to be able to break through, but at the same time, we also want to make sure we're profitable. A lot of times it might cost $5 to make, and we have to sell it to the buyer at $6. So we're making $1 profit. Does that sound like a good business?
Not always.
That's tough. So make sure that you have your margins in there. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't, Mike. I'm sure you have people that you challenged with how much you need it to be at, because you know that that's what it took to be able to sell product on the retail shelves. Yeah. So what did that sound like or look like when somebody came to you and you needed less of a cost?
Yeah, that happens more than you think, because sometimes the retail that the product will command out there in the marketplace won't have enough margin for me as the buyer to make it work. So can we push that retail up is the product good enough to take a little higher than competitive retail out in the marketplace? Is the brand worthy of a retail premium, on that? So some products could have a higher retail on that, but the times where they've come in and the product's not been costed well enough, we talk about different things. Like I could tell them, my margin rate goal is 65%. You're at 50, it's just not meeting there. Can you get to 65%? So I need a 15% cost reduction. I'll even take a look at commodity pricing and different things and say, this is kind of what I expected to cost. So a buyer will back work it to see how much they should expect from you, because we all know kind of standard manufacturing margins. So we can kind of get an idea of what your product should cost. And plus we see a lot of products in that category, so we have an idea there. So we'll push hard for that on that. It's not the end all be all if you can't make the costs that we need, because maybe the product's good enough or different enough, we want to bring it in. And a lot of times you're balancing an entire category. It could be hundreds of items in the category. So you could have some at a lower margin rate than the category and some at above. But it's a lot harder to bring in products below that margin hurdle rate.
That is extremely valuable information, Mike. Thank you so much. And I'm getting text messages, and I see in some of the messages that there's wows on that, because that is really important for us to understand. And again, if it doesn't make sense for us, then maybe it's Amazon, maybe it's Etsy or eBay, or
right.
An online, or maybe it's selling directly from your website. Place ads on the social media and drive traffic to your website and drop ship it yourself.
Yeah,
right? Or you have a distribution.
Seeing the product with the manufacturer.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. Good.
So
All right,
every
right.
layer adds cost, right, Brian?
Right.
So the more layers you can take out, the more competitive you can be sometimes.
And just like Deanna earlier, that's another layer. If you have another if you have a manufacturer's rep or sales rep in there.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. Good stuff.
So, what are the best ways to reach out and kind of what to do next? So there's a lot of options, right? You can email me, you can call me on the phone. It's probably, it depends on the buyer's personality. Some answer the phones, some throw their phones in the trash can, I think. Direct mail, good old post office, deliver a package. Who doesn't like a package coming, right? So that's always one way. I love doing that. And sometimes I just send them in blind. And I think that's okay. We'll talk a little bit about maybe what you should include or shouldn't include. Drop-ins. That's probably the worst way of all the options, to just try to show up.
Did you ever answer the door?
I think once in 12 years, I got called down to the front desk to come see. Not a lot of people went in that way, but yeah, I think it's only happened once. But a lot of times I'm in a meeting, I'm forecasting numbers. I got some replenishment issue. Somebody's UPC dropped off the product, so we can't send it to the store. There's all kinds of issues that we deal with, or I have to call marketing, ask them why this item's not on sale or promo. So there's 10 million things. We do a lot of internal selling as buyers. So it gets super busy. So probably the least part of our job is really looking at product on that. We're doing so many other things. It's really small. And I think that's why a lot of times you don't get contact, or the buyer doesn't reach out. They may not reach out, but I used to put all my emails into email box. When I got closer to my category review, when I was evaluating product, I go back through it. I remember the guy from Loop TerraCycle came into PetSmart to pitch me Warm Poop. Tom Skate, I forget his last name, but they came in to pitch Warm Poop product for grass repair, for when your dog pees on the grass, your male dogs will pee on your grass and kill your grass, right? So he had a product for that that was recycle, environmentally friendly, that he was pitching on that. And he went on, I don't remember, it was a major news publication, and talked about how hard it is to contact the buyer and how easy. And I was apparently one of the first buyers to actually pick up the phone and actually call him back. So, which was interesting. This was a long time ago, but some buyers will and some buyers won't. So kind of my recommendations is do all of it. What would your recommendations be, Brian?
I like what you have here. I mean, it's important when you're talking about crafting, and I see the format got a little messed up. So in post-production, we'll fix that up. If those of you who want to watch this you're watching it for the first time or you're replaying. But I think it's important to have a simple hooking type of email. Show me a video, show me some product. Again, you're pitching buyers now with product that you should have available, or you can press go at any time and manufacture the product. And then they're going to give you a time of when you have to deliver the product and pass inspection. So in order to get there, you need to catch the buyer's attention. I like all these things. You can't be shy. This is the putting your marketing cap on to be able to capture, or your sales cap on and be able to capture a buyer's attention. So catch them with a good email, the sell sheet, a quick video, unlisted on YouTube, or maybe it's listed on YouTube. Maybe you could show how well it's selling in social media, and some activity that you had to impress the buyer if they haven't seen it already. And the phone calls, yeah. I mean, connect up with them on LinkedIn. If you have a product sample, you want to send it to the right buyer. So like Mike said in the beginning, try to find them on LinkedIn. Try to call up the 800 number at the front desk and see who the buyer is. Just in the Inventor Smart Community app last week, I had a sheet of all the buyers from Publix supermarket, every category. And I put that in the app to share with the community. And you have their email and their phone number. So, and we're going to continue to keep finding buyers' contacts and sharing them in the Inventor Smart Community app. So, yeah, and networking, and maybe somebody in the industry, and again, the trade shows and everything else are good ways to connect up. And the brokers, a lot of times they have open doors to who you need, and it's a lot easier, but it also costs you 15 points, right? So you have to balance what your margins and how quick you want to get in and how easy you want to get in. But again, it has to all make sense at the end of the day. You're in this business and going through all this stuff that Mike's talking about to make money.
Yeah. And as a buyer, I always want to see the product. I want to know what it solves for. So I think was that Pierre that talked about, identifying, your customer base, what problem does your product solve? And then I want to see it. I've had a lot of submissions of ideas, of concepts of products. Those don't usually work out that well because I'm moving pretty fast, or I have to be ready for the reset that comes up in 9 months. We're very planned out. Some companies run really tight, long schedules. Some buyers just know their reset date. But seeing the product, seeing it in final packaging, always huge to a buyer, because then they know you're ready to go to market. They know you're invested in going after your consumer, and they want to know their consumer, because you're supposed to be helping bring consumers to that retailer. There's got to be a reason for your product to be on the shelf. Are you going to bring me new customers into my store? That's what I want to know. And you're going to help convert the customers I have, or you can give them a better experience. So I really want to see the product in final form. I want to know the costing, and I want to talk to you and know that you're able to handle the business that I'm about to give you.
Thank you, Mike. That is great information. Very much appreciate that. All right, we're about 10 minutes after the hour. I know that there's a couple more slides here, and Mike's going to be putting on his new business development cap. Now being on the other side, he was a former buyer at PetSmart, and now he is a licensee as a business development manager. So he looks at products now to add to his product line, whether it's internal or from outside. So go ahead, Mike. This is interesting.
Yeah, all manufacturers have some kind of product development team. and they have some kind of product development pipeline. So they're constantly looking at either creating on their own, they're assessing the marketplace, looking at good selling items. Can we come out with those on our own? A lot of times, a lot of the manufacturing's overseen in China. China, factories have a lot of different products on the shelf. A lot of times manufacturers see stuff from China shelves there and say, hey, I could bring that into my brand. And that happens. Patents are extremely valuable. These are the things that a manufacturer can't copy or replicate. So if you have a patent on an idea, that's huge. Coming to a manufacturer and talking about your patent, having the patent number, everything filed is critical. And that just gives you instant kind of credibility when you walk in the door with that. And then, when you get into the different licensing deals, there's a lot of things you can go after there. And I know Brian does a lot of work in the licensing side, getting different brands and using different brands to put on products or images and different things. So that's always a good route to do too. Manufacturers do a lot of that. We work with different CPG companies to borrow their brand's name to put it on pet products or vice versa on that. So that happens quite a bit. And I just can't stress having a patent is such a game changer when you walk into a manufacturer talking either about a licensing deal or just selling your patent outright to a manufacturer.
What about not having a patent at all? Or what about being patent pending? If I'm coming to you if I'm coming to you to try to license my invention.
Yeah, so if you don't have a patent at all, I'd always recommend to do some kind of non-disclosure on that agreement before you go in and talk about your idea with a manufacturer. But they're still willing to talk to you on that. But the biggest thing is finding that product development team and the people on that side of the manufacturing, because you'll have, the workers, the factory, the warehouse, you'll have the marketers, but then you want to get to that product development team. And that's really the key people that make those decisions and evaluate the potential of an idea or a product.
Being somebody that pitches licensees quite a bit, I can tell you that one of the main reasons for having some sort of intellectual property protection, most of the time they prefer to have an issued patent. And why? Because what you're doing is you're going to rent the rights to your intellectual property, your patent, for them to manufacture it for you, distribute it, not for you, together, because you're partners, manufacture it, distribute it, so you can receive royalties from it. And what you're doing is you're giving them a competitive advantage in the market for X amount of time. And that's the reason why it's got to be worth it for them and for you to do a licensing deal. You can see a lot of product. It doesn't mean that you don't like the product. It probably means that you need a product that's going to sell enough to make it worth your while and the inventor's while. Right, Mike?
Exactly. Well said, Brian. Patents bring value.
Patents bring value. But, I've licensed products without any intellectual property. That was more based on relationship. And patent pending, you probably want to do a good patent search with a patentability opinion, at least have a provisional patent application filed, and just protect yourself, but also give that potential licensee a reason to kind of have a hook and a competitive advantage to other manufacturers that are selling in that category. So really, like, I'm going to a trade show and last night we were going through these slides, Mike, and I'm pitching you inventors products that are pet products, right? And different types of things. Yeah. But look, when manufacturers are going to trade shows and they're showing off all these products and the new products and stuff, you know what they're really doing? They're waiting for the buyers to come in to go, hey, Mike, what do you have new this year? Right? So yeah, whether they have their internal team, their design team or innovation team, or they're outsourcing, right? Open innovation, kind of extending and maybe finding something good there. Again, they want something fresh and new. And do they have it? And if they don't, that's when they kind of reach out to the inventor community, or we reach out to them, and it's all about timing. So good points here, Mike. And it's good that you're open to hear some ideas, but it's got to be in the right category, right? You're not going to take certain things. You want it to be in the pet or the garden channel.
Yep. If it's related to that, I'll take a look at it.
Super. All right. What else we have, Mike?
That's we have a little bit on distributor or wholesaler. So there are large distributors or wholesalers at that you can sell to. So that's that middleman we're talking about too. So you can sell your product in, like if you have a pet product, there's Central Garden Pet Distribution. We're the largest pet distributor in the U.S. And we house a lot of products. So these are products that we sell to some of the smaller retail chains, or the areas that we don't have direct sales coverage, that we don't have a direct manufacturer's rep to call on the retailer, or they don't do enough volume for us to work with them. We'll send them to our Central Garden Pet Distribution team on that. And they work just like a retailer, kind of same process in selling them. They have buyers that evaluate and look at the product that they put into their distribution warehouse and sell out to the retailers that they work with.
Very interesting. So there's a lot of models to be able to get our idea out there, whether it's manufacturing or for licensing or distribution in this way. Excellent. So, Mike, how do we... Oh, look at that. I know that you're active on LinkedIn, and Mike is open and willing to take a look at products, and we very much appreciate that openness. Simple, quick demo video, quick bullet points, show some good product, maybe show some good success that you've had, or some social media activity that you have that could pique the buyer's interest or the potential licensee's interest. And Mike has shared that with us this evening. Mike, you've been in this industry. I know you're in the pet, but you're in the world of buying and developing new products and looking at new products and innovation. So there's inventors that are watching and listening that are at all stages of their process. They could have an idea in their head. They could be starting to develop their product or idea. They could be at that fork in the road, whether they should manufacture it or to distribute it themselves, or to license it for royalties. Or they are watching and listening tonight and they have a successful product. And even if somebody buys one, to me, that's successful, because you came up with an idea that somebody's using for the same reason you came up with it. So that's a tremendous accomplishment. So after all that, what are some final words of wisdom, Mike, for the audience that are listening or watching tonight?
Keep the energy. The sellers that have won me over as a buyers are people that had a ton of energy. And it always, big ideas or game-changing ideas don't always go well. But if you execute an idea with a buyer and a retailer and you do it well, there's a high likelihood I'll give you a second chance, or they'll give you a second chance on the next product. Or maybe it wasn't just the right timing for that product and we could try it again. But, just having that energy, bringing it to the table, really believe in what you're selling. I've seen product videos filmed in people's garage. I've had, design sketches sent to me. You name it, it's run the gamut. But people that kind of were prepared overall and then just had really good energy about bringing a product to market are the ones that I ended up taking a chance on, or taking that risk.
Fantastic. Mike, thank you so much for joining us this evening and instilling your wisdom of the mind of a retail buyer, and one that's tremendous. PetSmart is huge, and pets are a very strong category these days. And I know that we're going to do a lot more, and we're going to get deeper into those who do want to manufacture, how to really go step by step to be able to be, or to have that chance for success. And we're going to do that for the premium subscribers of the Inventor Smart Community app. We may have a boot camp, you and I, we'll get there. So thank you so much. And thank you for all your comments. Thank you, David. David's also giving you a quick shout out here, Mike. You have a good fan club. So for those of you who are still on, please come join us in the after meeting networking. Mike, you're okay for a few minutes to join us?
Yeah, I can hang out for a little bit.
Fantastic. So let's log off of here and find the Zoom link, the after meeting networking Zoom link, and we will see you in a few moments. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I do have some guest speakers lined up for the upcoming months. Please stay tuned in the Inventor Smart community app for the latest updates and stay connected to the inventors that are part of the membership in the community. So thank you again, everyone, and we will see you in the Zoom. And if not, then we'll see you in the app or we'll see you in the next meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night and keep moving your invention ideas forward. Thank you.